Welcome to Public Service Reports USA, where we spotlight communities that are really getting it right. Today, we're taking you to Stark County, Ohio. Now, you might think it's just another county in America's heartland, but if you look a little closer, you'll see it's something else entirely. It's a living record of American history, one that's written not in books, but literally in stone, right across its landscape. And, that's not just some fancy phrase. This place really is a sprawling, open-air archive of American military service. It's not a museum you pop into for an hour. It's the very ground people live on, surrounded by this incredible history every single day. So, just how big is this archive we're talking about? Well, get this. It's estimated that somewhere around 7,000 veterans are laid to rest here. That's 7,000 individual lives, 7,000 stories. We're talking about everyone from the nation's very first soldiers to those who served in our most recent conflicts. Their presence is just woven into the fabric of this place. So, how does a community become the keeper of so many powerful stories? That's what we're going to dive into. We're going to explore these physical spaces, these landscapes of memory, and see what lessons we can all learn from the way Stark County is preserving its history. And here's what you've got to understand. The cemeteries here, there's so much more than just burial grounds. They're like this complex tapestry of memory, and they show how our relationship with war and how we choose to remember has changed so much over time. And this right here is the crucial point. The way we honor service, well, it isn't set in stone. It evolves. And you can actually see that evolution. Just by looking at two different cemeteries, you can see two completely different American ideals about service and sacrifice, all told through landscape design. Okay, so let's break this down. On one hand, you've got West Lawn, a classic 19th century cemetery. It feels like a park. Veterans are buried with their families in these unique individual plots. The ideal here is the citizen soldier, a father, a son who answered the call and then returned to his community. But then you look at North Lawn's Veterans Garden, a 20th century idea. The markers are all uniform, flush with the ground. It's all about equality. The idea that in service, everyone is equal, united by that common oath. It's really 2 centuries, 2 powerful and very different ideas. And, that evolution didn't stop. After the Vietnam War, a conflict that was so divisive for the country, memorials started moving out of the quiet cemeteries and right into the public square. In towns like Massillon, they became these active public statements, places where a community could come together and start to process a really complex and often painful war. So, while newer memorials are bringing history out in the open, the county's oldest stories are facing a totally different challenge. They are literally fading away. The original sandstone markers for Revolutionary War veterans, they're eroding, and that history is in danger of being completely erased. It's a huge problem, but the way this community is meeting it is just incredible. So that's the big question, right? How do you save a story that's being worn away by 2 centuries of wind and rain? Well, the answer isn't something from the past. It is firmly rooted in the 21st century. The solution is this amazing blend of old-school detective work and super modern tech. You've got volunteers, boots on the ground, using GPS on their phones to find and map these forgotten graves. Then they dive into historical records to verify who's buried there. And once it's confirmed, a new permanent marker is placed. This is a community using today's tools to save its 18th century stories. It's a perfect model of proactive preservation that any town in America could follow. But, beyond the landscapes and the cool tech projects, it's really all about the people, the individual lives that give this whole thing meaning. Because these aren't just names on a list, they're powerful, personal stories that are etched right into this county's soul. Take William McKinley, for example. We all remember him as the president, right? Honored in that massive national memorial. But if you go to West Lawn Cemetery, his original simple marker remembers him as Major McKinley, the young Civil War officer. It's just this really poignant reminder that behind every huge national figure is a local story, a person who is part of a community first. Or think about the story of First Lieutenant Sharon Ann Lane. She trained as a nurse right there in Canton. She went to Vietnam, served in an evacuation hospital, and was killed by rocket fire while she was protecting her patients. To this day, she is the only woman from Ohio killed by enemy fire in that war. Her story is a solemn, powerful part of this county's identity, and it's kept alive not just in the cemetery, but in statues and the names of local veterans chapters. And what about those who never came home? Air Force Captain Mark Peterson was shot down on the very day the Vietnam Peace Accords were signed. he's still listed as missing in action. He doesn't have a grave. His resting place is the collective memory of his community, and it's given a physical anchor by his name etched onto that memorial wall in Massillon. That's how a community makes a promise to never, ever forget. And what becomes so clear when you see all this is that none of it happens by accident. This incredible work, this level of preservation, it's the result of a dedicated collaborative effort. It's like a sacred trust, and it's upheld by a whole network of what we call community keepers. And here they are. These are the best performers. It's a whole ecosystem of preservation. You've got the Canton Cemetery Association managing the grounds, lineage societies like the Sons and Daughters of the American Revolution doing that deep historical research, the VA providing the official markers, and local VFW and American Legion posts providing support and ritual. Altogether, they create this powerful interlocking system of stewardship. And this system produces some pretty amazing results. I mean, just listen to this. The Canton Cemetery Association, which is a nonprofit, provides burial spaces for veterans at North Lawn Cemetery completely free of charge. Free. This is a community literally putting its resources where its values are, making sure that every single veteran has a dignified final resting place. This quote from a memorial for combat wounded veterans, it just gets right to the heart of everything. This work isn't just about remembering the past. It's a deep, emotional, and ongoing conversation about the real cost of service and the hope for a more peaceful future. So we want to leave you with this question. Take a look around your own community. What stories are written in stone on your landscape? And maybe even more important, who are the keepers of those stories? The example being set right here in Stark County shows us that with real resolve and collaboration, any community can make sure its most important history is never forgotten.